All right, let me explain the Chinese Kempo and the roots. All right, Chinese Kempo is a style that incorporates Hung Gar Kung Fu, which is a fluid style, and Kaisha-Ryu Kempo, which is a rigid style. And William Chow, his father was a Shaolin priest, and his style was Hung Gar Kung Fu. And so he trained his son in Hung Gar Kung Fu, and his son went off and started working with this guy Matosi with his Kempo. And what Chow did was take some of the Kempo, some of the Hung Gar stuff, and he mixed it in with the Kaisha-Ryu Kempo. And that's how we got like windmill guard and some of these techniques that were open hand techniques, basically because they did closed movements. And the Chinese believe that closing the arms and everything like that tightens up the muscles and they don't react as quickly as doing open hand stuff. And see, in the Kung Fu, you redirect a man's force. And in the karate, you meet force against force. So we got the beauty of both in the style. Yeah. And that's what's kind of cool about the Chinese Kempos. And somebody comes in to me and goes, what's better, karate or Kung Fu? I can go, yeah. I go, it depends. I mean, if I'm going to fight you and I'm bigger than you, you're going to want to use Kung Fu because you're not going to stop me with power to power. Right. But if it's the other way around, and then the same thing happens on the shoot fight. What's better, grappling or punching? Yeah, I go, yeah. Just depends on what the guy does. If the guy's beating you on stand, I'm taking the ground. What he did was take the best of Hung Gar Kung Fu and mix it with the best of the Kaisha-Ryu Kempo to come up to what we call Chinese Kempo. Now, somewhere along the line, people started taking the material out, saying that it was too much for other people to learn, it was too many techniques, too many movements. So they started to modify the system to make it less. Now also that's basically what the American Kempo did, was they took out a lot of the techniques and movements and katas and stuff like that they felt really wasn't, practical. Whatever reason may be, I don't know what the reason was. And then there's some schools that are teaching 54 moves completely. And some are teaching 35 moves complete from the system. And that's ridiculous because everybody knows the more you practice the movement, the better you're going to be. It's just a known fact, and it's kind of like what Bill Wallace did. He had a bad right leg. So when they trained in karate, they did 1,000 kicks on their left leg. And then when everybody switched to do 1,000 on his right, Bill didn't want to use his right leg, so again he did another 1,000 on his left. My point being is, that's what made him better, was doing it over and over and over. That's what makes anybody good at what they're doing, is by doing it over and over and over. And yeah, in our system, the Chinese Kempo system, we have a lot of movements. And we have a lot of techniques that are against a right punch, and some of them almost look exactly the same. The thing about it is, it's still teaching you a move, it's teaching you timing, reaction, at the same time as it teaches you how to react to that right punch and how to react to that right punch. And it can only make you better the more you do it. And I think that a lot of the systems that are cutting out the material or just watering it down, it doesn't make the student as good as they would have been had they trained the amount of time that they should have. Realistically, you should take a black belt 3 to 5 years. All right? If some black belt makes a black belt in 7 months or 9 months, it doesn't mean that that student's really good. It means the requirements are really poor. All right? Because if anybody can make a black belt in 7 or 9 months, their requirements aren't that difficult. And that's fine, because the other thing too is I trained with Mr. Parker. I got my 4th black. In fact, I got all the material Parker has. In fact, I was the first person to ever get the material from Mr. Parker. The only problem is I never did anything with it. The whole notebook's sitting and everything. Barry was just amazed I even had it. He took my whole notebook and copied it. I mean, he's just like an Ed Parker fanatic over the whole thing. Yeah. I'm a little disappointed because, if it wasn't broke, why fix it? Yeah. Mr. Parker learned a great system from William Chow, and then he changed everything, kind of Americanized it. And the problem that I had is, I know William Chow fought every day. Yeah. I know there was these guys that talked about him going to like a swap shop in Hawaii and that, of where, these guys are selling fish and everything there, and these kids would come on there bullying, and Chow would come over and beat the shit out of everybody, and they would feed them. Yeah. And so, that's where Chow got the idea of mixing these techniques and go, wow, this technique works good with this technique. So it's really great. And he was beating everybody with it. I never heard of Mr. Parker in a fight in his life. So how do you teach somebody how to fight if you never fought? you know, it just kind of bothers me. You know, he has this whole group of people, and that's the problem is he has this whole group of people that follow him because they're into the theory part of it. And see, my shit don't work in theory. My shit works in practice. I have this guy over here, a police guy, who's training last night in that. And he's going, you know, these things, you know, all these guys have these things in theory. I said, well, you do your theory shit, and let me show you my practice shit. And I threw him around like a little rag doll. I said, this is what works. I said, that shit that you're trying to do. I said, when the wall came and trained with me and that, he did all this shit that they did in the police academy, and I screwed him up with it. Because it doesn't work. It works in theory, but it doesn't work in practice. Let's make it work in practice. And that's why I won. That's why I got, you know, the shoot fighting just amazed me when I got involved in it. But a little Japanese kid was, you know, beating me like a runaway slave. Right, it was all practical. And that's what you want, whether you're a big guy or a little guy. I mean, you want the practical stuff to work.